Hi friends, we are going to talk about how to make a stable and a growing career in the IT industry. Now there are 5 tracks in which you can actually look upon and make a career. So we're going to talk about this today in this video. We're going to talk about 5 tracks today. The track 1 will make you a full stack web developer. The track 2 will make you a digital marketing analyst. The track 3 will make you a professional software developer. The track 4 will make you a full-fledged specialized mobile app developer developing apps in Android as well as iOS. And the track 5, which is really upcoming in India, it's already booming in the US and the UK, is the data science domain. Let me start with a little briefing on the track 1. Have a look at this simple diagram. Assume that you are planning to make a website or a web application, and you have a very simple task to be done, and that's called as a login screen. For us, it's just a 30-second job, but see what goes behind it. You log in by entering your login ID and password. When you click the submit button, a HTTP request is being sent with whatever data you have entered, so-called as login ID and so-called as password, down to a web server. A web server is the one which hosts your web pages, and it has little brains. This brain is basically your code. Your code could be written in the most popular language used on the web, so-called PHP, or it could be written in the next most popular language called as Python, or it could be written as third most popular language called as ASP, which works on .NET framework only. That's one limitation of ASP, in fact. And always great, we call old as gold, and that's JSP, Java server pages. There are other languages also, but these are the 4 dominant ones. The major market share for e-commerce is completely with the language called PHP. So we write some code here. What is the code supposed to do? The code is going to fire, get my words clear, is going to fire a SQL query over the database. The database could be stand-alone, or you could have many databases. That's called as distributed databases. So we could have a database where our registered login ID and password is stored. Now, the database is going to basically do a very simple work. It is going to check. So what you're doing now is you are firing an SQL query over the database to fetch your registered details. So I am getting your registered login ID and the registered encrypted, please get my words clear, encrypted password. It comes to the web server. The web server, using any one of the languages, you've written a code which does a simple work of comparing what you have entered and what you had registered. If there are 2 possibilities. If you entered X and Y and you had registered X and Y, they both match. So I give you a HTTP response with some message. The message, my friends, could be any of these. It could either be an error message because you have not entered the details as you had registered. Maybe your input is ABC and password is 123, but in the database your password is 456, so they don't match. So you get an error message. Or you will see a greeting message, and post that the application starts moving ahead. You will feel, oh my God, there is so much of coding. This is nothing. There is a lot of coding which goes in making actually a good website or a good web application. In this entire set, this is called as tier 1. This is called as tier 2. This is called as tier 3. So whenever a person learns anything in software development or in web technologies, he does his coding as a 3-tier programming. That's what everybody does. Now the question is this all? If I become a full stack web developer? No. A full stack web developer does a lot of things. You can imagine this. Imagine the best e-commerce websites in the world. There will be Amazon, Jingdong, Alibaba, Flipkart, eBay, Groupon. The best online tools and converters. You convert from JPEG to PDF, PDF to JPEG, and the best social media websites like Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter has been made by whom? The best web developers in the world. So if you think you plan to work in these companies or make such products, you are the right fit for becoming a full stack web developer. That is track 1. Now, let me move on to track 2. Yeah, now about track 2. Imagine this. This is a whole world of World Wide Web. And this is you. This is your product, your company, your service. How do you actually bring awareness? Next, how do you ensure that people get to know and to use your product, and then ultimately they buy your product? So the first you have to make them aware, next you give them a free trial, and then they buy your product. How is that possible? The very first is you have to come into this world, and this is called as a digital world. And this digital world is so huge and so complex now that you need to be having a lot of knowledge, and that knowledge is given to you by track 2. So in one side we have a lot of social media websites, whether those social media websites could be LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or so many of them. You could be blogging, you could be YouTubing, you could be making new connects on LinkedIn to find new customers. There are a lot of things on the web. Now, what is the most important thing is that if I make a good product or a good service, how do I ensure that I reach to the world? And for that very simple reason, everybody says, yes, you should appear somewhere in the Google search. What somewhere? If there are 1 lakh search outputs on the search engine results page, so will it make sense if you come on the 8th page? Do you think somebody's going to look at you? No one. There's no question of I coming on the 8th page. If I have to come, my friends, I have to come on the first page within the first 8 positions on the Google search engine results page. So how do you do that? You become an expert in digital marketing. Only then you can rank yourself well on Google, you can make new connects and more visibility on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, and all of the social media platforms. Now, one more question that pops up here is, once I make myself popular, how do I ensure that from the outside world, the people who are trying to connect me, so I'm getting a lot of data. People are viewing me. I would like to know who all are viewing me, what age groups are people, what gender, from what country people are viewing me. And that's called as data analysis. So how do you do data analysis? For data analysis, you need to have knowledge of 2 languages. One is Python, other is R. So that's the reason our track 2 teaches you the Google certification of digital marketing, Python with Django programming, and data analytics using R. There are great career scopes, great work. People who wish to go for less coding and more managerial, more creative, more marketing work, this is the best option for IT people to enter in. Great. Now we move on to our track 3. Right, so move on to the track 3 now. The track 3 will make you a professional software developer. Now what is it all about? Basically, in this track 3, one would master Java and Oracle databases along with data analytics. Now, where is it used? Where is Java used? Let's get that point clear. If you look at anything around you, your home appliances like a fridge, like a TV, or a washing machine, or a set-top box of Airtel or Dish TV, all have embedded Java. So they are basically Java-enabled appliances. And a lot of them are using Java. And ones which are smart TVs or a smart fridge are using Android, but again, Android is coded by using native Android is coded by using Java language. Databases is there everywhere because without data, nothing can happen. So in just putting in a summary form, all the large financial systems like the BSE, like the NAC, like the NYSE, the large ERP systems used by large companies in the world, the big data analyzing tools and environments like Apache Hadoop, And the development tools or IDEs like Eclipse or NetBeans are all coded, and you need the basic knowledge of Java and Oracle. So certifications in Java, Oracle, and data analytics is extremely important to get into any of these large companies, whether they're a TCS, Accenture, Atos Origin, or Capgemini. You need the basic knowledge of this. But of course, today, Java has a lot of competition from other programming languages equally, whether it's PHP, whether it's Python, whether it's for that reason R or some upcoming languages. But then yes, competition among languages is always going to remain. That's the reason we have made so many tracks. So track 3 will make you a professional software developer. So we now move on into track 4. Right, so move on to track 4. The track 4 is going to make you a full stack mobile app developer. In simple sense, you will be able to make commercial level Android apps, and you'll be able to make commercial level iOS apps using Swift programming. Right. So now the question is that I need not tell anybody about apps. All of us are using smartphones, all of us are smart, and we know that we are going to either be using an Android phone or an iPhone. A US research report says that a normal person spends about 3 hours using his apps a day, and that's whooping 1100 hours a year. So you can imagine what role, what significance your app is doing in one's life. Right. So the point is that if you want to make commercial level apps world over, every company is having an app today, and there are a lot of companies still which don't have apps, so they are definitely going to make apps. So the future of mobile app developers is really bright, and I don't see any reason for anyone to fear about mobile going out of the place. The mobile is improving, it's going to improve, it's the future. So mobile app development in Android and iOS has a very stable and a growing career. Right. So we now move on to our track 5. Right. So we move on to the track 5 now. As regards to track 5, it's the future of the world. It's data science. Now, data science, actually speaking, it's too wide, it's too growing, it's evolving, and you really cannot say that this is data science. It's going to grow. So data science is something which is extremely growing in the world, and every day something or other is getting added up to data science. One of the very matured and promising fields of data science, and also the most important field of data science, is AI, artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? It's basically the human intelligence put into the machines. It's called as artificial intelligence. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine this situation. You are using an app of Ghana, downloadable from Ghana.com, and this app you can listen to music, or you watch movies on Netflix or many other such streaming apps. Now, my point to you is something like this. Today, you listen to a few songs. Assume that the songs you are listening to are nothing but the data which is kept in my databases. So this data is actually analyzed by using something called as data analytics, and the language which is used for data analytics very commonly is R. Once data analytics is done, let me interrupt myself here. Data analytics, or I could also be using Python programming language, but R is preferred when it comes to data analytics. Coming back, data analytics analyzes my data. Now what? Now I have to actually ensure that my application or my machine, in simple words, thinks little like a human being to give you suggestion of listening to new songs on Ghana or new movies on Netflix. So once I analyze what movies or songs you have watched, assume you hear song S1 today, S3 tomorrow. I want to ask you, what would you prefer to hear day after tomorrow? So that's a fill in the blanks. So you need to judge what is going to come here. So I'm going to analyze your data. And after analyzing of the data, I'm going to give it to some machine learning algorithms. The best language in the world to implement machine learning algorithms is Python. At times, the machine learning leaves some ambiguity. So that ambiguity can actually come out by deep learning so that we can actually make a decision. Just put it in simple words, machine learning says that the user could listen to song S5 or S9 today. But should it be S5 or S9? How do I suggest that? I have to be definite. I'll do some more deep learning, and I'll possibly take a decision that I should hear to the song S9. And after deep learning, a suggestion is given to the user on his application or on a physical machine, and therefore you take a decision. This is all about AI. This part of AI is a most critical part of data science domain. Now, how do you actually master this data science domain? It's very simple. Go in for a track 5 offered by Swing Consultants and Technology Private Limited, which makes you a master with data analytics using R, machine learning using Python, inclusive of deep learning. In all this, there is something which is hidden, which is not seen, but is the base for everything, and that's called as statistics. If you're not able to do statistics, I'm sorry, you won't be able to do any machine learning or deep learning or AI application. So this is a kind of a hidden part. It's the mathematics which goes behind everything here. So you also learn your statistics. Database programming has to be very good. So you learn SQL and PLSQL. And lastly, you have to understand that the whole course has been devised with a lot of subjects so that it trains you with all this stuff. So if you're planning to make a career in data science domain, track 5 is the best. Although there are not too many jobs in India as of right now, but it is a steadily growing career. So if you have a horizon of next 2 to 5 years, it is one of the very good tracks to look upon. Right. Now, as we have finished with all the 5 tracks, I'll just like to put a very short, quick counseling part on what track should be selected by what variety, what kind of student. Every kind of student is not fit for a track. I understand you should do what your heart says. But your heart says X, but your brain should support that. If your heart says Y, your brain should support it. If it doesn't support, it's not going to help. So what we should do? Putting it very simple, there are 3 varieties. I'll divide the students in 3 varieties. First, who are very good in coding. The students who are very good in coding and they love coding all throughout, they should look upon either track 1 or the track 3 or the track 4. The students who plan to go in for their MS program, possibly after working for 1 year in India, or they plan to immediately fly out after doing their engineering, should please look into either the track 1 or the track 5. Students who are not good in coding, they're not so good in coding, they're not logical thinkers, they should go for track 2. They could also go in for track 1 because track 1 is not very intensive with respect to coding. It also requires your creativity to a certain extent. And the last, if you think that you are a die-hard fan, you love mobile app making, you don't want to do anything else, then doing the track 4 is one of the best options. Beyond this, you can actually get connected to me below in the description of this video. You have information of how to connect to me. Thank you for watching this video. Please share and subscribe us.